Hi, and welcome to this Jeff Ed, quite a personal Jeff Ed for me. So if you're watching this on catch up, thank you for joining. Please feel free to leave any comments or any questions, and I will definitely get back to you. In the meanwhile, for everyone who is going to join live, I'm going to get the links out quickly so that everyone can find me. Here we go. So sending this out on the yoga and meditation group and going to post it to the Jeff Live group. So welcome to anyone who is here already. Please say hi. Let me know how you're doing on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon. I'm going to give it a little bit of time for everyone to join. Hi, Pat. I'm so glad that you could join. I hope you're doing well. Everyone who's here, please say hi. And yeah, let's see who all is here. I'm quite excited to be doing another Jeff Ed. I have not done one in a while, except, of course, for my challenge Eds. Hi, Ninifa. Hi, Liesel. I'm glad you could make it, Liesel. How are you? Liesel, I feel like I haven't seen you live at a yoga session in a while. Hi, Shireen, Nicole, Pat. I wouldn't miss this. Well, I hope I don't disappoint. Today's session is going to be a little less about a little less, I guess, technical and a little more personal. Hi, Barbara. Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. So just sharing a little bit, I really believe that the learnings from a lived experience can be much more valuable than reading something out of a book. And so I thought, well, I'll share a little bit about what I know, and we'll go from there. Hi, beautiful Iva. Candace, thanks for being here with us. Hi, Chris. Welcome. Welcome, everyone. We'll give it about 2 more minutes before we get started. I've got some water, so if you don't have anything to drink, quick cup of tea or quick cup of coffee, and we will sit down and have a good chat. Oh, Henda. Oh, Stuur vir jou 'n groot drukkie. Dit is so lekker om jou naam hier te sien. Henda was my first local Jeff friend, who I met kind of through the yoga scene in Hermanus, but also through Jeff. And Henda has just become a machine at running. Oh my word. So inspirational. Dis so lekker om jou hier te hê, Henda. Denita, hello, lovely. That's a nice name to see here. Renata, hello, beautiful. I hope you're well. Welcome, everyone. As mentioned, today's topic is how yoga changed my life. So it's not necessarily how yoga can change your life or how it is, factual that it will, but more so of my lived experience. And I think in that sense, we all have a lot more in common than we think. And often someone else's experience can lead to a lesson for you or a tool, something that you can use in your own life. When you resonate with something that I say, that's potentially something you can look into, maybe bringing that into your own life. And yeah, I just really wanted to share in a way that I hope can inspire you all and maybe give you all a little more insight as to why I am so dedicated to the practice and why I am always pushing you guys into being dedicated to the practice. Henda, so lekker om jou hier te hê. Laat weet as jy in Hermanus is asseblief. It's time for us to do a little walk and a catch up here in Hermanus. Michelle, hello, lovely, welcome. Kishal, hi, welcome, lovely to have you here. Natalie Peterson. Welcome, everyone. All right, so I think we will get started. Um, there's no official start, just me chatting. um, I'm very excited to chat today and just share a little more about my story. Hi, Cheryl. Um, which started not so long ago, actually. But I'm going to step a little bit back before I started my yoga journey and my yoga teacher training. Hi, Tatina. And kind of go back to the beginning. So in 2013, I had been in the where are we now? Yes, 2013 was kind of like my breaking point for me personally, and my mental health. And where this stemmed from was I had been working in production and photography for quite a few years. And this actually led all the way up to me being 25. So I'm 31 now. So 2015. And within those production years, I don't know if there's anyone here who's in production. I definitely won't slate the industry, but I think anyone who's in it knows how tough it is, how brutal it is. It's quite cutthroat in the way that business is done. I remember as a woman stepping into this industry that was quite male driven, sitting at a boardroom table, being the only woman with like 18 men there. And so really experiencing a lot as a young woman stepping into this world, and being required to do a lot. And I'm also someone, I don't know if anyone else can resonate. I'm an all or nothing kind of person. I think most people at Jeff has that inclination to really jump in fully. And that's how I was with production. I worked in stills, I worked in film, I worked for a Danish photographer, so I worked in Denmark. And by the time I was in Denmark, I was working, I think like 18-hour days, and living off Red Bull, working hard, playing very hard. So lots of nights in the clubs. I could go for, I don't know, like 4 or 5 days without eating, without sleeping, and kind of in that stage being in what you would call a manic stage. Um, Not really thinking that there was anything wrong with it, because life goes on and you just do what you need to do. And I've always been someone who can push myself quite far. And when I came back from Denmark, I weighed about 48 kilograms, which is about, I don't know, like more than 10 kilograms, like underweight, for my height. So my sister still jokes and says like I looked like a lollipop when I came back. And when I came back, I was still working for this photographer, and one day I snapped and I found myself in the change room of the studio and completely frozen. And I couldn't leave, but I also didn't want to stay there. So anyone who struggles with anxiety, depression, it's really it's not a nice experience. But I've learned a lot. And after that day, they actually had to call my mom. How old was I? I was 2013. I was 23. They actually had to call my mom, and she had to come and fetch me because they couldn't get me to leave. And we went to a friend of my mom's. We went to her house, and I got into the pool with my earphones, and I think I stood in the pool in the sun for like 4 hours. And again, they couldn't really get me out of the pool. And so I realized that I needed to figure out what was going on. And I went to my first appointment at a psychiatrist, and she kind of had quite a lot to say. And there was this diagnosis and this diagnosis and this diagnosis. And a friend actually went with me, And we left there, and my friend said, I don't like the feels of this woman. I think you need to go see someone else, get a second opinion. So I went for a second opinion to my psychiatrist, who is currently, till this day, still my psychiatrist. I absolutely adore him. And honestly, I feel really blessed that he came along my path. So I went to see him and got the diagnosis of bipolar. And at that stage in my life, it seemed like this big shock value diagnosis. It was really tough to kind of share that news with my family. But what was more difficult was kind of going through that decision and that path and that journey of, do I go on medication now? Because ultimately, the psychiatrist is like, I think we need to assist you with some medication. And um, I was just like, I don't know. And if anyone here has been in that position, you'll know that you've got all the advice. It's the same as when I was chatting to a friend yesterday who's pregnant, and she was saying every person knows the best advice to give you. And it's actually really confusing in a time like that. So I had some friends saying, absolutely not, don't do it. There's nothing wrong with you. You'll be fine. And then I had other friends saying, yes, go on medication and you should take this and this and this. And even within my family, my mom, who's actually also been diagnosed with bipolar after I was diagnosed with bipolar, she was very supportive and said, get the help you need. And that's how she understood it. My father was uh, not supportive of it, but my father was confused in the sense of, he was like, I don't think you need this. I think you're fine. Like, we can get through this without you having to go on medication. And so, when you've got like your mom and your dad in different corners, you got your friends in different corners, it was really hard. And I think it's the first real adult biggest decision I ever had to make in my life, where I had to say, like, okay, I'm not going to lean on anyone else's opinion for this decision. I'm going to make this decision myself. And so I decided to go on medication. So what happened then was, I was still in production 2013, and not happy. I got a very big promotion. I had my own office. I was working on a R1 million production video. I was there, I was living the dream. And one day I was sitting in my office, and I sat down and I looked out my window of my office, which went straight into the passageway of the building, into a brick wall. My office was made out of drywall, and I was working on this job for a client who I cannot name. Let's just say not in my ethical values, line of ethical values. And I said to myself, oh my word, Kathleen, you're literally sitting in a cardboard box looking at a brick wall, working for someone who you don't believe in. And at that point, I said to my parents, I can't do this anymore. I need to change. I need to change. And my mom, I mean, I think a lot of you know my mom. She was on the previous yoga challenge. She's really been a very big inspiration to me, and she helped me change my journey. And my mom said to me, well, what do you enjoy doing, Kathleen? And I said, well, the only time I'm really, really happy is when I go to yoga. And thank goodness my mom's a ballet teacher. And so she said to me, well, why don't you become a yoga teacher? And at that point, I didn't even know that that was a real thing. Like, I didn't even know that you could do that. Like, where do you even do that? Like, who decides to become a yoga teacher? Like, it was kind of, it's weird because it's actually not that extreme. But in my mind, it was so extreme. And a year later, I was still in production. And a year later, I said to my mom and dad, I can't do this. I need to leave. And my mom and dad said, well, we've had this discussion. Let's do something about it. And so I looked up a studio. I ended up finding the Shala in Gardens in Cape Town. And I, straight from our dinner with my parents, I went online and I sent them an email, filled up my application form, and fast forward a week later, I went for kind of like the interview to do the teacher training. And yeah, I walked into the building and I had the talk with the owner and the main teacher. And I walked outside and I remember sitting in my car. Oh, I was going to get emotional. I remember getting into my car and just like bursting out crying and saying to my mom, this is where I'm going to work. Like, this is where I'm going to be. I'm going to do my teacher training and I'm going to teach it and I'm going to work here. Like, this is where I need to be. I ended up being at the Charlotte for 5 years. I did my 200-hour yoga teacher training there. I did my 300-hour yoga teacher training there. And I managed the studio pretty much for 5 years. One of the main reasons I was so afraid of doing my teacher training was I knew that it was going to flip my life around. I just knew it. I knew that once I step into this new world, my old world is going to fall apart. And it did. After, I think, 2 months in my yoga teacher training, my partner actually broke up with me. After 2 years, I had to move out of my apartment, as well as I quit my job in production. Yay. Only took about 6 years, but yeah. And so my whole life turned around and I knew that was going to happen. But I really believe that those 2 years that I was kind of forward and back was the time that I needed to prepare myself and to mature into a state where I can handle all of that. It wasn't easy, it was hard. And throughout those 5 years, whew, it was an up and down battle of back and forth to the old self, to the new self, to the old self, to the new self. And I think a lot of you will resonate in the sense of when you start to change your life, there are old parts of your life that need to die, whether that be relationships, whether that be, or is it breaking up? Let's see. I hope I'm not breaking up. I just see some comments here. There's parts of you that you have to let go. There are people you have to let go. Thanks, Lauren. And that's really, really hard. So I had this part of my life with all these people and friends that I was this one version that I couldn't be the yoga version with. And then in my kind of yoga version, I couldn't really bring in the old life because that wasn't yoga. And that was really, really hard. And it took a lot of time. And I think if we look at a platform like Jeff and everyone who kind of pops on here, you see Jeff and maybe you join the one-on-one and your life changes so dramatically. How do you share that with the people around you? How do you explain to them, this thing has changed my life? And that's really hard. And in the end, I had a chat with a friend the other day and she said that, same friend who was chatting about with a pregnancy with, and she said pregnancy is the most amazing journey that she's ever been on, but it's also very lonely because you can't describe it to anyone. And I think a lot of the time when we start to change our life, it can feel very lonely because you can't express what you feel. And I think that's where the saying of, was it in Afrikaans? No, it's not in Afrikaans, but it's English. Action speaks louder than words. And what I've learned through my yoga is that the only way you can show what you know and what you believe is true and what you believe is good is to live it. You can speak until you're blue in the face. People will hear what they are at a level at to hear, whether it be your partner, whether it be your mother, whether it be your children are a little bit different, I feel. Be like, listen to your mother, I know better. But even children or anyone, they can only hear what they're ready to hear. And so what I experienced with my yoga was starting it off obviously on a physical level for the physical benefits, toning and strengthening of the body. That led me into the deeper physical practices. So looking at my internal systems and really acknowledging the complexity of my being and my body and how connected everything is. So take into consideration your neural system. If you think of your brain that moves into the brain stem, that moves into the spinal cord, and then you've got this network of this whole nervous system that goes throughout your whole body. Feeling your fingertips, when you walk into a room and you see something beautiful and you get goose flesh. That's how connected your mind, your emotional state, and your physical state are to one another. They are not separate. And so whatever you're doing to your physical body, you're doing to the rest of yourself. Whatever you're doing in your mind, you are doing to the rest of yourself. And that's what I really learned on my mat. And the thing about that is, we aren't just, I always say, like, I know some of you probably have like the live, laugh, love words in your houses. And it's beautiful. And I love that. And we need live, laugh, love for sure, 100%. But I think often we use that to mask the ugly and the dark. And I know that I've seen parts of myself that are really terrifying. And actually, like, oh, I don't think I should ever tell anyone about those thoughts that I have, because that's like, oh. But when you get on your yoga mat, you see those parts, and they are the parts that actually need our attention and our focus. And so getting on your mat is often the most difficult thing to do. I remember one day getting to the studio, and I went in my jeans because I was like, I'm not doing class today. Don't want to do class today. Don't want to get on my mat. And I got to the studio, and at that stage, I was going through quite a bad time. I've gone through multiple bad times and relapses in my 20s, by the way. So it's not life doesn't go like this. It goes like this all the time. And my teacher said to me, are you going to get on your mat today? And I said, no, that's why I'm wearing jeans. And she said, well, luckily for you, we have a lost and found. So go grab some tights and go get upstairs and get on your mats. There's so many things I can say about yoga. Like I said, I'm not going to go into the technicalities of it, because I feel like I can teach you that all the time. But I think that the essence of the practice is to bring awareness of ourselves, to find stability in our minds. So having our minds not control us, but being in a position to control your mind. And that's, I mean, not in the way of lists, goals, ticking off things, anything like that, but just being able to know what's going on in your mind. I was saying it this morning, I think, and I forgot the statistics, but I'll try find this for you guys sometime, is the amount of thoughts we have a day is insane. But the scary part is that a large amount of those thoughts are repetitive. And what's even more scary is that a large amount of those thoughts are negative. And so when you find a discipline where you can become quiet and still, and that's what makes the practice of yoga different to exercising, right? Is that it's a full body, a full self-awareness practice that does not separate one part of the self from the other. Another big lesson that I've learned from yoga and that really changed my life is the spectrum between death and being your highest self. So living your biggest potential. So if we have this line of this is death and this is your highest self, your highest potential, right? If you meet in the middle, that's kind of where most humans live. We kind of live between I'm fine, I'm good. We kind of live between that and which way did I make death? We kind of live between this and death, right? So you get sick and then you nurse yourself back to health. And then you get sick and then you nurse yourself back to health. And then every now and then you go over to the abundance side and you go, oh, I had the most amazing day. Or like, oh my word, I've slept so well 3 nights in a row. Or, oh my word, my digestive system is so good this week. And so we get used to living in this kind of like rehabilitation process of ourselves all the time. and we never kick into gear going into full abundance. And the practice of yoga is about going into full abundance. Um, so yeah, it's this half an hour is not enough for me to share more of my story, but there's a lot more. And yeah, everything I've said is multi-layered. So everything I've said today, I can have a discussion about everything. Um, but I think the last thing I'll leave you with, and then I'll just go through some comments. It's something that one of my yoga teachers said to me a while back, and it stuck with me ever since. He said to me, Kathleen, remember that most practices of yoga are scientifically unproven. But if you look at all the yogis in the world, it's experientially true. And so all I can teach you guys is my own experience and tell you how it affected me. And that is my truth. And it has worked for me in this way, what has not worked for me in that way. And you all need to find that truth on your own journey and find out what works for you. But thank you so much, everyone, for being here. I'm just going to go through a few of the comments. If you have any questions, you are welcome to pop them in here. Dal, thank you so much. Oh, it's such a pleasure. Yeah, and the thing is that we all have everything we need inside of us. It's just so masked, and we have these layers of insecurities and untruth and lies that we've been told and that we've told ourselves for a very long time. And stepping out of that pattern is really hard. So strength and confidence and power is there. We just really need to tap into it, and that can be hard when you haven't been doing that maybe for a very long time. Kerry, such a pleasure. Barbara, such a pleasure. Michelle, when is the next challenge? Michelle, I don't know, but I will let you know as soon as there is one. It will definitely be fresh. It will definitely be a lot of yoga. Journaling, meditation, all those kinds of things. So I will let you know. Brenda, thank you so much. Getting out of the industry and moving into your passion. Yeah. And you know, passion is purpose. Passion should be purpose, and your purpose should be passion. And when you find purpose, it's something that doesn't require discipline. It's not something that requires forcing you, or it's not something you do. It's something that you are. And yeah, my wish is really that people can find that and step fully into their truth and what serves yourself, right? You fill your cup and then you're able to be there for others. And if we want to change the world, we have to start by changing ourselves. That's hard work. En so veel liefde vir jou. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's really a pleasure, guys. And the thing is that we have, when you have something that you want to say and you've got something holding you back, you've got this fear of sharing it, you give that so much power. But when you actually just speak about it, it loses all its power. And you'll actually realize that people will probably understand more than you think. And that applies to not only a community, but to your family, to your friends, a lot of the time we live in our own minds of fear, and build these stories. So to me, to take back my power of the story of bipolar and mental health and failing and not being where I thought I was going to be at 30 and etc. For me to talk about that, it loses all its power. And then it really just can bring you into the present moment. Corinne, thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it, and for listening. Shireen, I had a dip in my late 30s, was put on antidepressants, and then went off after a week of feeling like I was in a catatonic state, made the choice of figuring things out and leaning on the love and support of family and friends. Thank you so much for sharing that, Shireen. Thank you so much. I mean, I think that even though mental health has been brought a lot more like into the spotlight or into like normality, or that we can speak about it without feeling ashamed, that's still not the norm. I know so many people who don't believe my diagnosis. Sometimes I don't believe my diagnosis, to be honest. Sometimes I'm like, so an educated person made an educated guess after me telling them some information, and this was the conclusion. So it's very interesting, and it really does make your mind spin. And to be honest, I think that, and don't quote me on this, I'm not a doctor, but if you take bipolar as a specific imbalance, right, our bodies are constantly in flux. They're constantly going out of balance, back into balance. And that is hormones, that is chemicals, that is our blood sugar level, that's everything in our body. So, on some level, we are all going through these ups and downs, some of us more than others. And yeah, just asking for help and support. If it's not within your family, look within your friendship group. If it's not within your friendship group, reach out to a professional, and reach out to your guides, reach out to your instructors, or someone that you admire. And feel free to share. I am here if you want to chat about anything. I'm really looking forward to the next yoga challenge. It really is there to support you on a much deeper level than just moving your body, even though that is key to our mental health. Either it is climbing a mountain, ups and downs, but your eyes always keep watching the top. It is what you did. You are a super, super lady. Oh, Ivor, that's so beautiful. Thank you so much. All right, everyone. I have to keep this at 30 minutes. I would chat forever. Thank you so much for being here. I really honor your time that you've put aside to listen to my story. I look forward to getting to know all of you more and more. You all share so much with everyone, which is, I think, so valuable to anyone who is holding back from really living. And I look forward to another Jeff Ed with all of you. I look forward to another yoga session or yoga challenge, and then of course all the yoga sessions. So a reminder that tonight is our sleep session, and yeah, I will be sharing more in the future. So lots of love, everyone. Have a beautiful day. I'll get back to your comments. Thank you very much. And yeah, I will see you all live tomorrow morning. It is our intermediate strength. Have a beautiful day. Ciao, everyone.